All right, guys, hello and welcome back to the show. Today with me, I have a very fun guest. She's very cool and involved in all parts of the honors program, and we went on a cool trip together recently, which I definitely want to talk about. Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself further?
Welcome to the Honors Podcast.
Hello everyone, I'm Sara Jameson. I am a behavioral neuroscience major and I'm graduating this year in like a month.
Scary.
But yeah, I've been involved in the honors program. Well, obviously besides from being a part of it, I'm an honors ambassador, and of course I went on that trip with you and that was a lot of fun, and I honestly just really love this program.
Did you say your major?
Behavioral neuroscience.
Behavioral neuroscience. And then where do you hail from?
I hail from Orange County, California.
The other side of this very large country.
Yes, I definitely am ready to not travel anymore. I am ready to go back with my family and be able to see them whenever I want.
Oh, that's fun. So you plan to go back to California after graduation and kind of settle down there?
Where are you from again?
I'm from Georgia originally,
okay.
So 4 hours south of here.
Yeah, it's a 42-hour drive back home. I don't make that drive. No, I fly.
You fly. You never brought a car over here?
I get it shipped over, the ones where you see where they're driving all those cars and stuff. It's like a company. It's cheaper than you would think. And so I just have it for this year because I need to go off campus and I have to get my prescriptions and stuff, and I don't want to have to rely on other people. So it's it's another level of independence having your car on campus.
Yeah, it's annoying because my car is old too, so I have to take it to the shop sometimes. When I was working as a cashier at Publix, your shift starts right on the dot at 7 a.m. and I get in my car and it's not starting.
No.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I call my roommate and I get him to take me, but it was a whole thing.
Oh my god, this is kind of off topic, but so I wasn't driving my car for 2 years, right? And so we were put it in this warehouse. We have a family warehouse, and these rats got into my AC.
In the AC?
Yeah.
Did you kill them?
Well, so they were dead, but I came in during summer and my whole car is kind of rattling, and it's a 2019 car, so it should not be doing that.
Yeah.
And it starts smelling, and I'm like, this is disgusting. So I go to the Honda dealership, and they have to open it up. There's a whole rat's nest, a whole dead rat, and they completely chewed through everything, and they also chewed through my windshield wiper little line for liquid and stuff.
Wow.
So that cost a lot of money, but we learned to close our vents when we are not using them for a while.
That's smart. Yeah, it makes me think of the one scene from the B movie where Barry flies into the car and gets stuck in the AC.
It's that movie kind of scares me. It gives me anxiety.
The B movie?
Well, when they do the whole training sequence, with the newspaper and in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Also, I have so much, I don't have trauma with bees, but when I was younger, I was deathly scared of bees. If I saw one, I would run away crying, even if they weren't even near me.
Yeah.
So, but it's okay. I've come past that a little bit now.
Good. That was great. Yeah, I was not scared of bees, but I had a lot of interactions with bees, and the stings are painful.
Yeah, I've been stung 9 times.
I know. I've been stung a lot too. I've been stung in the eyelid, which is, I do not recommend.
I got stung on the arch of my foot.
And you gotta walk on that, or did you walk on it?
Well, it was I was sitting on my knees, and it was on the arch of my foot, and I leaned back, and it stung me. So, it's been mostly my hands, but
It's good.
the eyelid, was it swollen up?
Yes. And there's this green gel ointment you can get or something. I put it on my eyelid, and
You can put onion on it, apparently.
yeah, there's a lot of holistic remedies.
Yeah.
But I will say the worst childhood foot pain to experience is those screen doors and how they snap back at you.
Oh.
I got cut in the heel one time, full on Achilles. I was down, and it hurt so much. That part of your foot is so sensitive. And I was no wonder Achilles died from that.
Yeah, that's so fair.
Okay. So I want to know more about growing up in California, because the furthest west I've ever been is New Mexico, which is pretty close, but
I've never been there, actually.
yeah, the altitude is so high.
Really?
Like, I grew up at a pretty high altitude in the Appalachians in Georgia, but like in New Mexico, I was like dying. I was like getting like heart altitude sickness or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, I could not do it. But it was so beautiful.
Yeah. So the first thing you need to know about California is that it's pretty much two different states.
Yeah.
You've probably heard that, Northern and Southern California. For those who are unfamiliar, Northern California is like San Francisco and Sacramento and that kind of stuff. Then there is Southern California, which is like Orange County, LA, and San Diego. I live in Orange County, which is kind of below LA, and about 30 minutes from Disneyland. That's usually a marker for people to hear. But it's definitely interesting. It's not as different as you would think from North Carolina. The weather is definitely more extreme here. And we actually have seasons here. But like kind of, I guess the vibes are a little similar. But it's also could just be, I've only really been exposed to High Point University, North Carolina, and not really all around it as much. So just, I mean, but it's also like people have the stereotypes, like, oh, if you're from like Orange County, it's like you think of like the TV show OC or Real Housewives of Orange County. Have you heard of Real Housewives of Orange County?
No. One of my friends was explaining to me like all the stuff with New Jersey and what Long Beach Island or whatever it is, and all that stuff. I was like, I've never heard of any of this. I
don't watch it, but I just know it's a big deal because
the only California stereotype I've been exposed to is like the Valley Girl.
Yeah. It's like I see some of that. I went to a like private Catholic high school, and so I was exposed to like more I guess that stereotype a little bit, but it's really interesting how diverse like the community is and stuff like that in terms of like, I don't know, like their experiences and stuff. There's like, of course, like the people who are very proper, prim and stuff like that, but then there's people, you know, who are not. And I live in a city called San Juan Capistrano, and there's like certain missions, like in California, there's like I think 12 missions, like church missions, and they're like buildings, and so I live in the town of one of them, so it's like a historic town, and so I live in a place that's very Hispanic, and it's very contrasting to like the other cities in Orange County, so that's very interesting to see, and it's also very interesting to see how the different ethnicities I see from California compared to here.
Yeah.
Like, I see a lot of Asian individuals in California, but I rarely see them over here, which is really interesting to see.
That's interesting. I will say that might just be here, because once you get into Georgia, you see larger Asian populations. Okay. That's why like my school like taught Mandarin, and I got my Chinese minor.
Oh, so, okay.
So yeah, that's my little lore drop. But so you were like a historic town area city girl. That was cool. Did you like end up learning any of the history, or like how did that kind of influence your upbringing?
Yeah, so fourth grade is kind of like, I don't know. See, that's another thing. I've learned very differently how different the school like education system is per state. But in fourth grade, that was kind of our state learning. We learned about our state.
Oh.
And so we all were kind of assigned a mission to do a project on. And I like learned about that. And of course, the 49ers, the gold rush and stuff like that. But we mostly just like learned about that. And I've only grown up in Orange County, so I haven't really, that's why I wanted to come over here, is because I wanted to get out of the bubble. Orange County is kind of like a bubble. You can call that, High Point can be a bubble sometimes, but I knew definitely in my junior year I wanted to go somewhere like on the East Coast and stuff like that.
Really? So what was that journey like for you, finding college and like deciding to go to college? Because I know it's like a West Coast mentality, like you don't need to go to college. It's like not as demanded as the East Coast.
You think that?
That's what my friend from Oregon has told me.
Okay. It could definitely be, I went to a college prep high school, and so you were required to apply to a college.
Okay.
So, I think it's definitely, the county or the part of the West Coast you are from.
Yeah.
But in the culture that I've been surrounded with in California, it's you need to go to college. But it's also different, like, levels of where you are in life and, like, where your family's at. And I do find it interesting the different, like, interest in jobs are different, I think, per state. Like, a lot of people I see don't really, like, North Carolina people don't really go over to California for schools that I've seen. But I know a lot of people are starting to move to North Carolina from, not Ohio, from California.
Yeah, that's interesting, especially because, like, most of the history happened on the East Coast, so all are, like, historic, and, like, the Ivy League schools are on the East Coast, too. And the East Coast is closer to the continent, Africa and Europe. So, like, trade-wise, it makes sense that this is where all, like, the international companies are as well.
Definitely. Yeah, it's when I was looking for like behavioral neuroscience or just neuroscience in general, I've noticed that there's a big concentration in the East Coast.
Really?
For research, which is interesting. I don't really know why. There's also, like, most of the research is actually being done internationally for neuroscience. But I don't think I would want to study abroad for a couple of years. A month was enough for me.
Yeah.
But
so what triggered the interest in neuroscience, deciding on that major, and then also deciding to come to High Point?
Yeah, so funnily enough, I was in a pre-law program all 4 years of high school. So I did, like, the first year of law school and 4 years of high school. That's why I came in with so many credits and I'm able to graduate early. But I was, like, dead set on being a lawyer. I was, like, the girl where I'm like, I'm going to Harvard Law School and stuff like that. But once I was taking the classes more and more, I kind of was like, this is really a lot of paperwork. I also was like, I don't think I can handle it emotionally because I wanted to do criminal law. It just would be, like, too much. I wouldn't be able to separate work from home. And so in junior year, I took anatomy and physiology, and we went to kind of the neuroscience section, and I just really fell in love. And also, what I want to do in neuroscience is neurodiverse individuals like ADHD and autism, because I have ADHD. I have several of my family members have autism, so I've really been exposed, and I really am just interested in the idea on how just the little parts of your brain, like one, molecule, can just completely change your perspective, how you act and stuff like that. And so I just really wanted to, I was just really curious on, like, that whole ordeal. And then how I got to High Point, it was like I was touring 2021. So it's actually funny. The first time I viewed High Point, I think, was 4 years ago, a couple days ago. And it was honestly kind of worked out in my favor because it was one of the only ones open during COVID. Like, I drove by Wake Forest, solid walls. You're not allowed to come in or pass or anything during during COVID, but they allowed a tour here, and, like, I don't know if you remember your first time you were here, but I kind of stepped on and I was like, oh my god, this place is amazing.
Yeah. But
I kind of just was like, I viewed about 5 schools within a matter of, like, 2 days. I hit Pennsylvania. I went to, like, Lafayette and Lehigh University. And I was like, this is going to be too drastic of weather for me. And then I went down to North Carolina. I did UNC. I did Elon, Wake Forest here, and another one I forgot about. But we stayed at, like, a hotel in front of, like, UNC. And we were driving past it. And I'm like, this is such a big campus. And it was just overwhelming. And immediately it was kind of just like I'm good. Like... But it kind of was just like, I got here and I was like, this seems like the place for me. And I know that they were beginning a neuroscience program, like a more specific one. And I also heard about the honors program, and I really liked that too.
Oh, that's good. What did you hear about the honors program? What made you decide to apply for it?
Yeah, so it was actually, I obviously, as a technical natural science major, I had to choose between natural science fellows and honors. And honestly, again, it was a no-brainer for me to go to High Point University. But the biggest decision was choosing between those fellowships, because I was like, I was told I would only really get research opportunities if I was a natural science fellowship. And so that scared me because I want to do research for a living. And I'm like, I need that experience. I want to do research. I'm just curious about that kind of stuff. But then I learned about honors and how just I wanted to be more challenged, like intellectually. Like, I didn't want to just have like English 101 and stuff like that. I wanted more discussion based, more collaboration and stuff. And because I went to kind of a more, I guess, like college prep school, it would have been weird to suddenly switch to like I don't know, just like straight up English 101 or something.
Yeah.
So I just really like the idea of the collaboration and stuff like that.
Very cool. I want to know what you're interested in research-wise.
Yeah, so I've had to like narrow it down over the years and stuff. It's hard. So I'm interested in ADHD and autism, mostly just anything that's like neurodiverse. And mostly I want to work in neuroimaging, which is like MRI, PET scans, and stuff like that. And basically, I don't know specifically exactly what I want to study because it really depends on what's going to be known when I start, going off of my own. But I really like looking at the different brain connectivity in autistic individuals, just over their like span of life, the different activities in the brain. And then also for ADHD individuals, there's like this really cool theory that I really like. It's like the default mode network just doesn't turn off. Like the part of your brain that's like daydreaming and stuff, for those who are neurotypical, they can shut that off. But like those with ADHD, it's theorized that it's just always kind of constantly on. So that's why it's hard to focus on some things and stuff like that. And there's just really not a lot known because I got my ADHD diagnosis in like 5th grade. I was like, okay, cool. Like, it's nice to know, like, it was nice for me to have a label and explain why I was doing certain things. I had it in 3rd grade. I had my diagnosis in 3rd grade, but I didn't really come to terms with it until 5th grade. And I think in high school, I got more curious because it was affecting more of my social life. So I started doing research, found out there was really not a lot of answers. So I just want to kind of solve that disconnect.
So the field is new, or like neuroscience is new too. I was learning this when I was doing my project that I presented for at the Southern Regional Honors Conference about acetylcholine, like neurotransmitters and all this stuff. It's like we know a lot, but there's a lot we don't know. Like the research we're doing is on like single neuron connections and like worms. Like that's how basic we're doing the research on. Like we're not even close to understand like human brain connections and complexities.
Exactly.
And that's before you even get into like neurodivergent individuals and like how their brain is different from like a neurotypical. And that's really interesting with the neural mode?
The default mode network.
Default mode network.
Yeah.
That makes sense because people always say like ADHD are like creative. They like have that stuff to like the daydreaming never shuts off. It sounds like a little annoying too, but...
Yeah, I mean, there's like 3 different types of ADHD. It's like inattentive, hyperactive, and impulsive. I'm the impulsive subtype. And it's just really interesting to, I don't know, just see how it's one diagnosis, but it's so different for each individual, especially with autism, stuff like that.
What is the importance of doing research in these areas for like ADHD and then autism? Like what are we going to be able to do with that research that we do?
So what I tell grad schools is like, further medication and stuff like that. But for me, it's a personal goal of being able to understand yourself better. Because me personally, when I am doing like certain things, like, and I can kind of bring it back to my diagnosis, I like to dig deeper and be like, okay, I understand that it's because of ADHD, but I want to go deeper into why. And so I guess it's just kind of reassurance for my fellow neurodiverse individuals, just because sometimes it's nice just knowing what's going on in your brain, because it can be kind of scary that there's so much going on and you just have no idea.
Yeah.
Not saying that we know a lot that goes on in the brain in general anyways. There's just so much unknown and untapped stuff, which is crazy because, again, you said it's a really new field, and
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to study humans and like do direct experiments. So we study mostly rats and mice, but the translational models aren't that good.
And when I was doing my research for acetylcholine, I was talking to Dr. Cochin to like get his advice on it.
I love him.
Yeah, because Dr. London is an organic chemist, so she actually didn't know
I'm
anything
taking
about.
Neurogenesis with him right now.
Yes, so cool. And I was like asking him questions. I was like, why can't we understand like how the human brain works? Like we have all this fMRI and neuroimaging, and he was like, well, all that is kind of outdated, and unfortunately, we can't cut up human brains. It's a real blocker in the path of science. I was like, oh, ethics, right?
I know. Sometimes I'm like,
you wish you could.
yeah, like it sounds bad, but like just like there would be such a direct way to do things, but it would be like so unethical, and it's like not the right way.
Yeah.
And it's just really weird that we're thinking about it with our brains, but we can't find out our own brains.
I think it's so cool to research the thing that you're using to research.
Yes, it's crazy. Sometimes I feel like Inception. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm researching what I'm thinking with right now, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah. Another question I had asked Dr. Cochin was, like, do we have a definition for consciousness or intelligence in neuroscience? And he was like, no, man, we don't.
No, any of those abstract things we don't really have. We don't have a definition for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because like right now we're in neurogenesis, we work with rats and stuff like that, and just you have to kind of, even in psychology, you have to have your own operational definition, because love. What is love? Like it's a different types of definitions. So for your experiment, you have to provide your own definition with like backed up science and stuff, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's good. And what you were just talking about with researching ADHD, better understanding yourself, and that got me thinking about like self-awareness, which is something that also isn't really defined, and that kind of ties into consciousness, like how and why are we self-aware? Are the rats self-aware? And then something I always get into a side tangent of is, how can AI become self-aware? Like, how can we build self-awareness?
Yeah, AI is like way out of my scope. Like first exposure to AI was like Ultron from Age of Ultron. But it's just it's developed so fast. And I remember my dad texting me. I think he like only recently found out how prominent AI is. And he texted my brother and I. He's like, you guys got to be careful. Like the AI can like take over your jobs. And I'm like, Dad, I don't think they can take over research. Like, I don't think they can, like, they can do some aspects of research, but they can't really. And then my brother is wanting to do video game design, and I'm like, sure, they can probably create some cool programs, but the creativity, it's not really there yet.
Yeah. Do you think it ever could be there?
I don't know. I never thought that we would be able to be where we are right now. Well, like, of course, eventually, but not within, like, a year, where, like, just anything is, like, creating the images and stuff. But you also have to know, like, when creating the images, I mean, they're stealing other people's artworks to combine them into something. So none of it's original.
Yeah.
Because they're all using data from other things. So I guess, what is creativity? Like...
Yeah. That's something I've been thinking about a lot with English majors and like our creative writing classes. Like I'll write a poem or a short story and I'll be like, this is good, but could ChatGPT write something better?
Yeah.
And then I like give it the premise of the story and it writes something pretty good. And it's like, but I still came up with it on my own of original thought. So,
but it's hard to differentiate. Oh, was this original?
Because like we take inspiration from other people too. Like artists take inspiration from other artists and all that stuff. So we say as artists, like, there's no such thing as originality either, because we're just combining other things from other people too.
Yeah, that's true.
So it gets into a thin line when you think of it that way, but copyright is important.
Yes.
Nonetheless. But yeah, there's a lot of overlap between neuroscience and AI, because like machine learning and neural networks are like based off the models of the brains and all that stuff. So it's so interesting.
Yeah, that was one of my classes, math modeling, where we kind of just went into like different like coding networks and stuff. And I did kind of see how kind of similar it was to the brain. And I mean, it would be really weird to deduce the brain to just codes and signals, but at the end of the day, maybe it kind of is. Like, of course, everything's connected. I mean, we call it the default mode network. Like,
yeah, we say signals, electrical signals.
Yeah, like it's really interesting how much you can easily compare things to be so similar but so different at the same time.
Yeah,
it's just so weird.
It's so crazy. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with your life. You're going to go into an interesting field.
I'll keep y'all updated, hopefully. We'll see what happens if I get into grad school first.
What are you looking at with that? What are you hoping to get?
So I want to get my PhD for sure, but it is so competitive and so hard, especially since it's a neuropsychology, behavioral neuroscience is a new field. So there's not a lot of programs. It's a niche program. So only some schools are doing it, and evidently the schools that are doing it are usually the really hard ones to get into. So I applied to like 10 programs, and I've been denied from all the PhD programs, which is fair because I've only had like 3 years of research experience. So right now I'm just waiting to hear back from master programs, all in California.
Okay, that was cool. I'm sure you'll get one of them, and we'll see some cool things going on.
If not, I'll just do like research for another year and see what happens.
It was fun. Like regardless, you're on a good track, doing some cool research. What is the research you were involved with here specifically? So,
my freshman and sophomore year, I was involved in the pharmacy lab.
Ooh.
With Dr. Cooper. It was interesting because it like involved my interest, but also didn't. We went into the neurofibromatosis 1 and how it has ADHD like symptoms, and we went into like the D1 and D2 stuff, and just I like split a lot of cells. I like fed them. I made sure that they were growing okay and stuff like that. And we ran some like experiments and stuff like that. But right now, I'm working with Dr. Curtis, my fave. I love her so much. She's part of the psychology department. She let me pretty much head my own research. Right now, I am finishing up rejection sensitivity dysphoria and in ADHD in undergraduate students, kind of seeing on what levels, individual, if they have ADHD or no ADHD, if they're high in certain stuff. And rejection sensitivity dysphoria it's not like a DSM-5 diagnosis. It's something that's been kind of like on blogs and theorized and stuff. But they theorize that like it's a kind of a part of ADHD where there's rejection sensitivity where you're a little more sensitive to rejection, but rejection sensitivity dysphoria is like emotional like dysregulation, like thought control, kind of like intense and like emotional intensity, and then also against rejection sensitivity. And it's something that I have, and it's kind of a phenomenon where the literature I've read in my personal experience is that when you receive perceived rejection, because it's not always like actual rejection, you just kind of take it as rejection. There's like you kind of have this almost episode of like almost intense emotional pain where you feel it in your chest. You can't really get over it in that moment, and your thoughts kind of spiral, and you literally cannot get past this certain point. And also, you just like, it depends on where you are, like in your journey of self-awareness and stuff, but there's times where you're completely aware that your thoughts are illogical. You're like, that person probably did this because of this. It wasn't because of you or anything. But you still feel this like intense emotional pain and kind of physical pain. And it's just really interesting how many people share this experience across, like, at least, like, social media and websites I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But there's maybe 2 to 3 actual scientific articles, and they're all case studies on it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So hopefully we get a little bit of quantitative data.
That was good. Are you have enough data to be presenting at HyperX?
Yes, I'll be
Okay.
presenting at HyperX along with my honors project.
That was fun. Yeah, let's talk about that. Have a little conference debrief. So, you've done all this great, cool neuroscience project, but what you presented at conference had nothing to do with any of that, and
Yeah.
that is the honors way.
Yes, exactly. That's what I love about honors. Like, if you're dead set on just doing your major stuff, then I guess go to that fellowship. But I wanted to experience something more. And so the class I did was Marriage, Singlehood, and Divorce with Dr. Allen. I took it last spring semester, and I ended up writing about just witchcraft and how it was not really superstition, but it was more of just bias against, like, single women because they wanted to control, like, their fertility and stuff. And I never thought I would be interested in history ever.
Yeah.
But it was just such a cool topic, and Dr. Allen was like, this paper's cool, and she nominated me, so I had an amazing opportunity to present it in Chattanooga.
That was very cool. What did you learn from the process of doing historical research and, like, either some parallels you realized with doing scientific research or, like, something you've taken away from doing historical research that you might apply to doing your neuroscience research?
Yeah, it was interesting. Historical research is, a lot of it I've noticed is, like, in books, and, like, so you probably have to read a lot more than you would for, like, science, where you just read kind of scientific articles. And so you definitely, I think, have to dive a little deeper into, like, historical research, because there's so much context in everything.
Yeah.
But luckily I did take the class in it where it gave me that context, so I didn't have to dive too deep, but I did have to kind of, like, explore all these types of books and stuff like that. But I definitely learned how to connect things a lot better because, like, you have to make it kind of all around inclusive, and it allowed me to learn how to connect the things that I've been researching and stuff.
Yeah, that's very cool. Like, history, I don't think I really like history either, but I went to conference last year for the history paper I wrote, also for Dr. Allen.
I love her.
I know, she's good. But it's interesting because, like, it's all one large story. Like, everything connects, but then you can get so specific into it and, like, get down to a single person and the day and the words they were saying to this, like, royal queen or whatever, and all this. It's this very long soap opera, human history, and, like, not one person can learn all of it. So we gotta have, like, all these PhD professors of history, and they, like, all have their expertise in different fields, but then it all connects as well, which is so cool.
Yeah, that's why I like, I guess, more of the college classes where we go deeper into a specific part of history, where in high school it was like U.S. history, like world history and stuff like that. It was just too broad for me.
Yeah. This is why something I wish, like, I like how you mentioned during your state education system, you, like, learned about your state history in 4th grade. I wish I had done something like that. Like, I can tell you nothing. No, we don't have, like, a Georgia state history.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, it was just, like, world history. What we did do was world history, U.S. history, but then one of our, like, junior year projects was local history. And we did, like, within our very specific community of, like, the 500 miles of our school.
Oh, interesting.
So that's very cool stuff. And I love local history and all that stuff because, like, that immediately connects to you. So I've been love learning about, like, High Point local history, but then also my high school's local history, which is ties into all the bluegrass and ancient Appalachian people and all this stuff. So it's very cool. And I wish more people did that because it's true when they say you can learn from history and not repeat the past.
No, there was it's probably not backed at all, but where I went to school was, like, a mile from the mission, and there was, like, this stupid rumor going around that it was, like, on top of, like, a burial site or something like that, and so, like, it would get haunted or whatever for that reason, because I think because, you know, it had more a Hispanic background and like Native American background, which was interesting to think about. But I was like, I don't think you guys have any actual backing for this rumor.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, my high school theater building was haunted. And like many people without even talking about it to each other had all like experienced similar things of like a girl screaming from the catwalk.
That's so scary.
Yeah, which I love finding haunted places. Me and my friends used to want to start a like ghost hunting show.
I love it used to be BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I love Shane and Ryan. I love that kind of stuff. I don't know if I follow like I don't not believe in that stuff, but I'm definitely like open to it and like find it cool.
Yeah. I don't know if you know anything about that psychology stuff, like conspiracy theories and like superstitions and like why we believe all that stuff.
It's more I did like a little article on it because I also do the psychology newsletter.
Okay.
But yeah, kind of a plug. Psychology Club newsletter, started it. Hopefully it will continue after I graduate. But one thing is that they kind of find like an explanation behind things to be comforting. When there's things that aren't explained, they create these like, you know, folk tales or something behind it just because it's more comforting. But I honestly think a lot of sightings and stuff is like almost like a thing like confirmation bias where like you're looking for it and you find it, or like, for example, when I see those things where they catch like a word, I try to listen to it without seeing the caption first to see if I can hear that word. Because I can definitely hear that word when they say, oh, this person, like, we heard this word. Okay, yeah, I hear it once you told me that you hear that word.
Yeah.
But how much of it is actually because you point it out and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's interesting. We're such like social creatures and we like influence each other, and confirmation bias. Like it's hard to have an original thought, you know?
Yes.
It was fun. Speaking of people and categorizing them, we have this like idea in our culture of being introverted or extroverted. Is that a good way to be categorizing people?
I don't think so, because I didn't think, well, so if you use the categorization, I did not think I was much of an introvert until I came to college and was constantly around people, and I didn't realize how much alone time I needed, where I'm like, get away from me, like I need to just, my social battery, just stuff like that. But I'm also like, you know, during these things, or if I'm around like people I'm comfortable with, I'm very what you would call extroverted. Like I talk to strangers at open houses for like honors and stuff like that, and I'm very outgoing with that. I'm not afraid to speak in front of people and stuff like that, and you would categorize that as extroverted. Yeah, as an extrovert. And it's just like, I think it's too limiting because there's so many different situations that you're involved in.
Yeah.
And I think what you could categorize is like, I think what they kind of use is like, do you get energy from other people, or do you get drained from people? I get both. Like some people energize me depending on the day, and sometimes they drain me another day. It's definitely like the situation.
I agree. I kind of was the opposite. I felt introverted growing up, but now I'm like very extroverted in college, and I constantly want to be with people, stuff. But like I loved and was always alone on the weekends, like reading my books or just watching TV at home.
Yeah.
So, but then I like still love being by myself and all that stuff. So.
I still love being with people, and there's sometimes where I'm like, okay, I want to go out.
Yes.
But most of the time, I just get so drained, especially just from schoolwork, and I'm just like, I just need to chill out right now.
Yeah, love a good chill day, especially with our crazy honors, HPU schedules.
Yeah.
It gets wild out here, but we learn a lot from it, especially you packing all this stuff into 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, everything, like, it's not like I crammed stuff to graduate early. It was just, I kind of laid out my stuff because I came in with so many credits.
Yeah.
And I had nothing for my 4th year, so I was like, okay, graduate early, like.
That's good, I guess.
Yeah.
That was fun. So, since you are graduating early and thinking about the future earlier, do you think about the future a lot?
I do and I don't. I have, like, so much anxiety.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much going on in the present right now where I haven't been able to, like, actually think about the future. Because if I did, I would spiral almost.
Yeah.
Because, like, the only, like, as far as I can think right now is where am I going to be in 3 to 4 months? Am I going to be moved back home? And am I going to be, you know, moved in with my boyfriend because we're going to go to the same, like, university or whatever? Like, it's just so much unknown. I don't even know if I'm going to grad school next year or if I'm going to have another job. And I've never been in this period of unknown before, and it is so anxiety inducing. And, I've just been and also had so much going on in the present, just so many research projects and, you know, senior year, grad school applications. I've been kind of forcing myself to focus on the present, and I've been somehow, like, grown a lot where I've been able to develop this idea of what happens, which I've never had before in my life. I am such a control freak.
Yeah.
Like, but at, like, this point in my life, I'm like, okay, like, I'm gonna end up where I'm gonna be. And, you know, High Point's been good to me. I've been here for 3 years, but it's time for me to move on. Like, and I don't know. I definitely think about the future, but I don't think that far in the future. I think my mind can't, like, comprehend that.
Yeah. Well, let's see if your honors brain can. So if you could talk to yourself 10 years from now, in the year 2035, crazy year.
Oh my God, it's 2025.
What would you want to ask yourself?
I don't. I'm trying to see, like, if I would ask, like about my achievements, or if I would ask if they have any advice for me. Like, I don't know if I would ask, like, oh, did I do what I wanted to do, or ask, what would you do if you were in my position? Because I don't know if I would want to know. Like, there's, like, that thing where, like, would you rather find out when you die or how you die? Neither.
Yeah.
Neither. It's knowing about the future would be kind of scary. So I guess I would ask for, like, advice. I'd be, just, like, 10 years ago from now, what would be the number one thing that you wish that you would just keep repeated in your mind? And I think that's probably what I would ask, because you probably, like, 10 years from now, I have a lot of insight to when I was 11 years old. I don't remember it a lot, but I definitely know what advice I would give to my 11-year-old self and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Do you know an advice you would give to your 11-year-old self if you were the future and the 11-year-old was asking you?
I think I would probably say, you're yourself and that's okay. And if people don't appreciate that, then they're not for you. And just, I was so, and, like, of course everyone's also insecure, but I was so insecure, like, in middle school and elementary school, that I would just, and I went through so many things with, like, friend groups and stuff, and I would just be like, know that you're going to find someone who is not going to ask you to accommodate yourself, who's going to accept you as who you are and stuff like that. And I would just, like, remind myself, like, it's okay, like, you are who you are. That's what I would kind of just say.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
So we're about wrapping up. I do have one last question for you from the book.
Ooh.
So I have a tradition where the last guest left a question for you.
Ooh.
And then you get to leave a question for the next guest.
Okay.
So let me find...
Do I get to know who the guest was before? Do I get to know who the guest was before?
No. This is so exciting. Okay. So the previous guest wants to ask you, if you could only pick one memory from your time at High Point to sum up your experience, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's what you and everyone else has said before.
How do they think of these things? Okay, I feel like my question is going to be so bad. I honestly, like, it might just be because it was recent, but honestly, the Chattanooga trip.
Aww.
Like, it was just a good combination of, knowing that you're in honors, being with amazing faculty members, being with your fellow honors peers, where there it was like kind of just scattered around like the different years, like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, where we were all just able to connect, and but also at the same time, and that I was worried about, you know, how I would affect people with, because I get like a little grumpy when I'm tired, and I'm like, I was scared about that, but everything turned out fine. And I think just the anxiety that I had before the trip and a little bit during it, but it ending up really fine, and like I really enjoyed that experience. Like that was probably one of my top experiences I've had at High Point. So I would probably have that kind of just, and like then also at the end, being able to present something I'm really proud about.
Yeah.
And knowing that, you know, I can produce good work and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I would say that.
It was a really good presentation.
Thank you.
And I had such a great time getting to know you.
I know.
Such nice dinner spots.
Yes, it was such good food. I loved your food reviews.
Oh, yes. Reads only.
Yes.
Lord drop, I almost went to culinary school.
Really?
Yeah. Save that for another time.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, well, I'll go ahead and pass this over to you.